Star Wars involves a great many space battles, but perhaps the largest of them was the Battle of Coruscant, the backdrop of the first acts of Revenge of the Sith. This climactic battle was the largest and most important of the Clone Wars, as well as one of the war's most chaotic battles. All of you are surely familiar with it, but there's much more to the battle than appears in the film. In this video, we're going to be specifically focusing on the naval theater as we've discussed the ground battle in the past, unraveling one of the most chaotic space battles in the galaxy's history.
Attention, Sergeant on deck!
Before we get into things, we'd like to share a quote from the opening of the Revenge of the Sith novelization. The skies of Coruscant blaze with war. The artificial daylight spread by the capital's orbital mirrors is sliced by intersecting flames of ion drives and punctuated by starburst explosions. Contrails of debris raining into the atmosphere become tangled ribbons of cloud. The night-side sky is an infinite lattice of shining hairlines that interlock planetoids and track erratic spirals of glowing gnats. Beings watching from rooftops of Coruscant's endless cityscape can find it beautiful. From the inside, it's different. The gnats are drive glows of starfighters. The shining hairlines are light scatter from turbolaser bolts powerful enough to vaporize a small town. The planetoids are capital ships. The battle from the inside is a storm of confusion and panic, of galvan particle beams flashing past your starfighter so close that your cockpit rings like a broken annunciator. Or the boot-sole shock of concussion missiles that blast into your cruiser, killing beings that you've trained with and eaten with and played and laughed and bickered with. From the inside, the battle is desperation and terror and the stomach-churning certainty that the whole galaxy is trying to kill you. Across the remnants of the Republic, stunned beings watch in horror as the battle unfolds live on the holonet. Everyone knows the war has been going badly. Everyone knows that more Jedi are killed or captured every day, that the Grand Army of the Republic has been pushed out of system after system, but this, a strike at the very heart of the Republic, an invasion of Coruscant itself, how can this happen? We'll begin by answering that question. How did the Clone Wars get to this point? By 19 BBY, the Clone Wars had been raging for 3 years, and contrary to popular perception, the Republic was actually winning. It was 6 months into the Outer Rim sieges, in which the Republic had driven the CIS back into 6 pockets of territory scattered across the Rim, reclaiming swaths of separatist space closer to the core. The campaign was long and grueling, but the Jedi had been led to believe that it would mean the end of the war. But they were deceived. The Outer Rim sieges were just a diversion, a trap meant to bog the Jedi down while the Sith commenced their final operation, an invasion of Coruscant itself. Darth Sidious, in his day-to-day guise as Supreme Chancellor Palpatine, sent large chunks of Coruscant's defense fleet to join sieges on Megiddo, Felucia, and Seleucami. As Darth Sidious, he then gave General Grievous the coordinates of the Nexus route, a secret hyperspace route through the deep core, which gave the Separatists a clear shot at the Republic capital. Grievous committed hard to the operation. He stripped an entire theater of naval assets, building a fleet that represented a sixth of the entire CIS Navy, which was mustered at Yagdul. Led by Grievous and Captain Lashros Dauphine from Grievous's flagship, the Invisible Hand, the fleet consisted of over 1,000 Munificent-class star frigates, over 1,000 Recusant-class light destroyers and Providence-class carrier/destroyers, and dozens of Lucrehulk-class battleships and droid control ships. Notable ships included the destroyers Prosperous, Vanguard Flare, and Patriot First, and the heavy cruiser Tide of Progress 7. This enormous fleet came backed by enormous swarms of Vulture droids and Tri-Fighters, as well as the invasion army to end all invasion armies, composed of hundreds of millions of battle droids. Of course, even with much of the Coruscant home fleet off in the Outer Rim, Coruscant was scarcely undefended. It was still protected by hundreds of Carrack-class light cruisers Dreadnought-class heavy cruisers, Victory-class Star Destroyers, and thousands of Venator-class Star Destroyers, with notable ships including the light cruisers Indomitable, Mas Ramadar, and the Star Destroyers Impavid and Gualara. These were supported by large wings of ARC 170s, ETA-2 interceptors, and V-wings, as well as large ground forces on the surface. Grievous was able to jump his fleet right on top of the Coruscant home fleet, catching them unprepared and with their shields down. A large portion of the fleet was destroyed outright in minutes, but over 1,000 Star Destroyers remained operational and a chaotic naval battle began. Early on, Grievous made it a priority to delay the arrival of Republic reinforcements. One of Grievous's ships hosted a powerful jamming device that was able to block all communications to and from Coruscant, while other ships seeded mass shadow mines at the outlets of all major hyperspace routes into the Coruscant system. Once this was done, Grievous ordered his ships to spread out and begin attacking targets of opportunity, while his ground armies deployed and did the same on the surface. Separatist warships began blowing up communication satellites, orbital mirrors, and random surface locations, while on the planet below, millions of Vulture droids poured through the clouds, deliberately flying into buildings, commuter rail lines, and other civilian targets. The battle lasted for a week, and there was no rhyme or reason to it. With communications jammed, the Republic fleet was scattered as well, and before long, ships on both sides just began shooting at whatever was closest. The chaos was mirrored on the ground. The first breakthrough came when Republic forces were able to break the Confederacy's comms that were jamming and return communications to normal, allowing word of the attack to spread beyond Coruscant. Republic Navy fleet groups rushed back to the capital, arriving in scattered groups and forcing Grievous's fleet into Coruscant's upper atmosphere. For days, the attack seemed to be totally disorganized, a desperate last act of revenge against the Republic. But the Jedi realized, much too late, that the whole thing was yet another diversion. Grievous used the chaos as cover to kidnap Supreme Chancellor Palpatine, spiriting him away to the Invisible Hand. The Jedi Council's initial rescue attempts failed, and they ultimately decided to call in two of the Order's greatest heroes, Kenobi and Skywalker. To again quote the Revenge of the Sith novelization, "Beings across the galaxy watch and shudder and pray that they might wake up from this awful dream, because they know what they're watching, live on the holonet, is the death of the Republic. Many of these beings break into tears. Many more reach out to comfort their husbands or wives, their creche mates or kintriads, and their younglings of all descriptions, from children's to cubs to spawn fry. But here's a strange thing. Few of the younglings need comfort. It is instead the younglings who offer comfort to their elders. Across the Republic, in words or pheromones, in magnetic pulses, tentacle braids, or mental telepathy, the message from the younglings is the same. Don't worry, it'll be alright. Anakin and Obi-Wan will be there any minute." They say this as though these names can conjure miracles. These adults can take no comfort from their younglings. Palpatine is captured, Grievous will escape, the Republic will fall. No mere human beings can turn this tide. No mere human beings would even try, not even Kenobi and Skywalker. And so it is that these adults across the galaxy watch the holonet with ashes where their hearts should be. Ashes because they can't see two prismatic bursts of real space reversion far out beyond the planet's gravity well, because they can't see a pair of starfighters crisply jettison hyperdrive rings and streak into the storm of Separatist Vulture fighters with all guns blazing. A pair of starfighters, Jedi starfighters, only two. 2 is enough. 2 is enough because the adults are wrong and their younglings are right. Though this is the end of the age of heroes, it has saved its best for last. The two Jedi returned to Coruscant with the Open Circle Armada led by the Star Destroyer Roti Mundi. As they did, the Republic fleet suddenly received additional reinforcements, a huge fleet of brand new Star Destroyers, some of never-before-seen designs which the Supreme Chancellor had commissioned in secret. The new arrivals cornered Grievous's fleet, preventing them from escaping with their hostage. From here, the battle turned against the Confederacy. After a straight week of fighting without reinforcements, losses were beginning to mount. Many separatist warships were destroyed, and many more were on the verge of burning out their turbolasers, including the Invisible Hand. And before long, Kenobi and Skywalker, with the help of Flight Squad 7, were able to board the Invisible Hand and rescue the Supreme Chancellor, with Skywalker killing Count Dooku himself during the rescue attempt. Not long after this, the Invisible Hand suffered extensive damage in a battle with the Star Destroyer Gualara, and it slowly began to break apart. Grievous ultimately chose to abandon ship, fleeing to a nearby battleship and ordering what was left of his fleet to withdraw, leaving Palpatine and the Jedi aboard his crumbling flagship as it fell into Coruscant's gravity well. But against all odds, Anakin Skywalker was able to land the wreck of the Invisible Hand safely, and the Supreme Chancellor was saved. The Battle of Coruscant ultimately ended in a Republic victory, if one that left billions dead and much of Galactic City in ruins. The CIS, meanwhile, never recovered from the losses it suffered at Coruscant. Just a few days later, it would lose the Clone Wars entirely. So that's our look at the naval theatre of the Battle of Coruscant. But what do you think? Are there other space battles you'd like us to take a look at? Let us know all that and more in the comments section below. And as always guys, thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next video.